Imagine walking into your own home, expecting a quiet morning, only to find a stranger lurking in your bedroom, a knife glinting in the dim light, and your life unraveling in a spray of blood and gunfire. That's the nightmare that unfolded in a quiet Virginia suburb, where a seemingly perfect family hid dark secrets of infidelity, deception, and cold-blooded murder. Welcome to Behind Closed Doors 98, where we peel back the layers of the everyday to reveal the shocking truths lurking beneath. Today, we're diving into the chilling case of Brendan Banfield, a former IRS agent whose affair with his family's au pair allegedly spiraled into a deadly plot that claimed 2 innocent lives. This story is one of betrayal at its most intimate: a husband, a wife, a lover, and a stranger caught in a web of lies. At its core is Christine Banfield, a dedicated nurse and mother whose trust was shattered in the most brutal way. And Joseph Ryan, an unsuspecting man drawn into a fatal trap through the dark corners of the internet. We'll explore how a forbidden romance turned fatal, the twists that kept investigators guessing, and the emotional wreckage left behind. Buckle up. This is a tale that proves sometimes the deadliest threats come from those closest to us. Brendan and Christine Banfield appeared to have it all: a comfortable home in Herndon, Virginia, successful careers, and a young daughter. But beneath the surface, their 19-year marriage was fraying, marked by mutual affairs and attempts at therapy. Juliana Peres Magalhães, a young Brazilian woman, joined the household as an au pair, initially bonding with Christine. Her affair with Brendan added fuel to the fire, blending passion with resentment toward Christine. Joseph Ryan, a man with no prior connection to the family, was lured via a fetish site, becoming an unwitting pawn in a scheme driven by Brendan's desire to avoid divorce and start anew. Research suggests the plot was motivated by financial fears and obsessive love, though defense claims paint it as a tragic misunderstanding. It seems likely that emotional volatility played a key role, with all parties navigating complex feelings of jealousy, fear, and ambition. The evidence leans toward a premeditated act, but controversies around witness credibility highlight the human frailties involved. On a chilly February morning in 2023, the Banfield home became a crime scene. Brendan, armed with knowledge from his law enforcement background, orchestrated a plan that blended digital deception with raw violence. The au pair's testimony reveals a chilling sequence: a staged encounter, frantic calls, and a desperate cover-up. Investigators pieced together a puzzle of digital trails, conflicting stories, and forensic evidence, leading to arrests and a high-stakes trial. The case underscores how technology can enable horror, while human testimony can twist perceptions. In the quiet, affluent suburbs of Herndon, Virginia, a place where manicured lawns and upscale homes whisper of stability and success, lurked a story so twisted it could rival the darkest thriller. But this isn't fiction. It's the real-life nightmare of the Banfield family, where love curdled into lethal conspiracy. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Behind Closed Doors 98. Today, we're unpacking one of the most sensational true crime cases to hit the headlines in recent years: the au pair affair that allegedly led to a double murder. We'll walk you through it step by step, from the seemingly idyllic setup to the bloody climax, the dogged investigation, and the courtroom drama that kept the nation glued to their screens. Grab your coffee, settle in. This is going to be a deep dive, because every detail matters in understanding how betrayal can turn deadly. Let's start at the beginning, or rather, with the hook that grabbed everyone's attention: a frantic 911 call on February 24, 2023. "There's somebody here. I shot them. He stabbed her. There's several marks on her neck. What do I do?" The voice on the line belonged to Brendan Banfield, a 38-year-old former IRS criminal investigator, sounding panicked and desperate. But as the dust settled, what emerged was no random home invasion. It was a meticulously plotted double homicide, born from an illicit affair and a desire to erase an inconvenient life. 2 people lay dead: Christine Banfield, Brendan's wife of nearly 2 decades, stabbed viciously in the neck, and Joseph Ryan, a complete stranger, riddled with bullets. And at the center? The family's young Brazilian au pair, Juliana Peres Magalhães, whose romance with Brendan turned her from caregiver to co-conspirator. To truly feel the weight of this tragedy, we need to know the people involved. Herndon, Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C., is the kind of place where families like the Banfields thrive. It's a bedroom community for federal workers, with good schools, low crime, and that all-American dream vibe. Brendan Banfield fit right in. He was a special agent with the IRS's Criminal Investigation Division, trained in forensics, firearms, and investigations. Smart, disciplined, with a background in law enforcement that made him seem trustworthy. His wife, Christine, 37, was a pediatric intensive care nurse, devoted to saving young lives at a local hospital. She was described by friends as warm, dedicated, and deeply loving toward their 4-year-old daughter. The couple had met young, married in their early 20s, and built a life together, complete with a spacious home in the 13200 block of Stablebrook Way. But scratch the surface, and cracks appear: mutual infidelities, couples therapy sessions where they decided to stay together for the child, and a simmering dissatisfaction that Brendan later admitted to in court. Enter Juliana Peres Magalhães, 23 at the time, a bright-eyed AU pair from Brazil who arrived in late 2021 to help with childcare. AU pairs are common in busy professional families like this, young women from abroad who live with the host family, providing flexible help in exchange for room, board, and cultural experience. Juliana bonded quickly with Christine and the little girl, becoming part of the household rhythm. But by August 2022, things shifted. Brendan and Juliana began an affair, stolen moments escalating into a passionate relationship. Juliana later testified that it started innocently but grew intense, with Brendan confiding his frustrations about Christine being a poor mother and his fears of a messy divorce that could cost him custody and finances. The community saw the Banfields as picture-perfect, but behind closed doors, jealousy, resentment, and obsession brewed. Christine, unaware at first, had her own history of affairs, as Brendan would claim, but she was focused on family stability. Joseph Ryan, 39, from nearby Springfield, was the tragic outsider, a man with no ties to the Banfields, living a quiet life, perhaps seeking adventure on online fetish sites. His background? Ordinary, unassuming, making his involvement all the more heartbreaking. Now, let's detail the crime itself, building the suspense as it unfolded that fateful day. It all began months earlier, in the fall of 2022, when Brendan allegedly hatched the plan during a trip to New York with Juliana and the child. "I want to get rid of her," he reportedly said about Christine, floating ideas but settling on something sinister, using the dark web of fetish sites to lure a patsy. They created a fake profile on fetlife.com, a platform for BDSM and kink communities, using Christine's photo and email to impersonate her. The profile sought men for a rape fantasy scenario, aggressive, non-consensual roleplay where the man would enter the home, find her asleep, and proceed despite protests. Dozens of messages were exchanged, but Joseph Ryan was selected after careful vetting. Why him? He seemed eager, willing to follow instructions like bringing a knife, zip ties, and chains, and he fit the profile of someone who could be framed as a predator. Fast forward to January 28, 2023, Brendan buys a new firearm, a .22 caliber gun, and teaches Juliana how to use it at a local range. They practice, bonding over the secret. Then, February 24th dawns cold and ordinary. Christine is home, perhaps resting after a shift. Brendan turns off her phone, leaves it in a drawer, and heads to a nearby McDonald's to establish an alibi. Juliana, with the daughter in tow, communicates with Ryan via Telegram, confirm the address, leave phones in the car, enter through the unlocked door, go upstairs. Ryan arrives, thinking it's a consensual thrill. He enters the bedroom where Christine is asleep, knife in hand, ready for the scene. Suspense builds as Juliana, parked nearby, calls Brendan, "Stay away, there's somebody strange." "I'm scared." But he instructs her to wait. They return together, leave the child in the basement with an iPad, a detail that led to child endangerment charges, and creep upstairs. Brendan bursts in, yelling, "Police officer!" Christine screams, "Brendan, he has a knife." Ryan, confused, freezes. Brendan shoots him in the head with his service weapon. Then, in a horrifying turn, Brendan climbs atop Christine and stabs her repeatedly in the face and neck, vivid, brutal thrusts that left her mortally wounded. Juliana, crouching nearby, covers her ears and eyes, her hands later soaked in blood from the carpet. When Ryan stirs, she grabs the .22 and fires again, sealing his fate. They stage the scene, drip Christine's blood on Ryan's hands to make it look like he attacked her. Juliana makes a brief 911 call, hangs up at Brendan's urging, then calls again, portraying Ryan as the intruder. Brendan tends to Christine briefly before she dies en route to the hospital. The home, once a sanctuary, is now a blood-soaked tableau of deception. The investigation kicked off immediately, with Fairfax County Police arriving to a chaotic scene. Initial clues: 2 bodies, 1 stabbed, 1 shot multiple times, a knife near Ryan, but no signs of forced entry. Brendan and Juliana's stories aligned at first, a home invasion gone wrong. But red herrings abounded. Was Ryan a random burglar? Why the fetish elements? Detectives noted inconsistencies: Brendan's calm demeanor, Juliana's nervousness. Forensic breakthroughs came via digital trails. Searching Christine's laptop revealed the FetLife account, messages tracing back to Brendan and Juliana's devices. Blood spatter analysis showed Christine's blood dripped onto Ryan from above, suggesting staging. A framed photo of Brendan and Juliana in the bedroom, her lingerie nearby, hinted at the affair. Suspects emerged slowly. Juliana was arrested in October 2023 for second-degree murder after admitting her role in interviews. She became the breakthrough witness, flipping on Brendan for a plea deal, manslaughter instead of murder, potentially time served. Red herrings included Brendan's claims of mutual affairs and self-defense, but his boss contradicted his alibi about an important meeting. Twists piled on: evidence of Brendan learning Portuguese, plans for a future with Juliana, even discussing baby names. The community reeled, neighbors shocked, Christine's colleagues mourning a hero nurse. Investigators felt the pressure. This was a federal agent turned suspect, raising questions about trust in law enforcement. Psychologically, this case is a goldmine of human frailty. Brendan's motivations? A cocktail of obsession and pragmatism. As a trained investigator, he knew divorce could ruin him financially and emotionally, losing half his assets, custody battles. His affair with Juliana fueled a fantasy of a fresh start, but resentment toward Christine as a poor mother, per Juliana's testimony, added venom. Emotions ran high. Love letters post-murder showed Brendan's devotion to Juliana, calling her his soulmate. For Juliana, it was a mix of infatuation and fear. Young, far from home, she followed Brendan's lead, later regretting in jail notes about true crime deals. Christine's final moments? Terror and betrayal, her trust in her husband shattered. Ryan's family grieved a man manipulated into death, his emotions likely excitement turning to horror. Investigators battled frustration and empathy, piecing together a puzzle that exposed the dark side of desire. The community? A loss of innocence, whispers of it could happen here, sparking discussions on online safety and marital red flags. Twists kept coming during the trial in January 2026. Juliana's testimony was explosive, detailing the plot, the stabbings, the staging. But defense attacked her credibility, notes about profiting from the story, her plea deal. Brendan took the stand, denying everything. Absolutely crazy, he said of the conspiracy claims. He admitted affairs but insisted he shot Ryan in defense, stunned when Juliana fired the second shot. A boss's testimony shredded his alibi. Blood experts confirmed staging. Jurors deliberated for days, weighing the plethora of evidence against defense's catfish theory doubts. Resolution came on February 2, 2026, guilty on all counts, 2 aggravated murders, firearm use, child endangerment. Brendan faces life without parole, sentencing pending. Juliana awaits hers, likely light. The broader impact? Shattered families, the Banfield's daughter now with relatives, Ryan's loved ones seeking justice. It sparked debates on AU pair programs, online dangers, and infidelity's toll. In Herndon, trust eroded. Nationally, it became a cautionary tale of how affairs can kill.